After hours of delay, your red-eye flight is finally boarding, and your long-awaited nap is within reach. But as the line grinds to a halt, you can't help but think, there must be a faster way to board this plane. You are not alone. Mathematicians have been studying this problem for years, devising a range of different boarding methods and testing them with computer simulations. These models are designed to consider the two biggest plane loading bottlenecks. The first is seat interference, when someone in a seat closer to the window is blocked by people already in their row. And the second is aisle interference, when passengers seated in the back of the plane are stalled by folks in earlier rows stowing their bags and settling in. Different boarding methods try to tackle these problems in different ways, but the most commonly used approach is called back-to-front boarding. It seems logical. Board the back of the plane first, so passengers don't need to pass others to reach their seats. And in simulations using a 156-passenger Airbus A320, where every person has a carry-on, back-to-front boarding takes around 23 minutes. Not bad, though it barely outperforms the opposite strategy, boarding front to back, suggesting it's not actually doing much to reduce interference. Other airlines have tried to speed things up by ditching assigned seating altogether, assuming that passengers naturally spread out, easing congestion. Random seating shaves a few minutes off boarding the A320, but it's not perfect. The line tends to slow down at the end as passengers search for remaining seats. And while the freedom might help you avoid a crying toddler, it can also split up groups who board later. To keep assigned seating and further reduce delays, mathematicians developed the outside-in or WMA method, which loads passengers in window seats first, then middle, and finally aisle seats, bringing boarding time down to just 16.5 minutes. Still, some experts, including astrophysicist Jason Steffen, felt there was room for improvement. Steffen ran countless boarding order simulations until he found the fastest one. His order, aptly named the Steffen method, can fully board the A320 in just 15 minutes. So why don't airlines use it? Well, Steffen's method requires passengers to load on in a very specific pattern. First, it fills even rows, then odd rows, using a combination of the WMA and back-to-front methods. By staggering passengers across the cabin, it gives everyone just enough room to load their carry-ons all at once. But Steffen's method demands perfect execution. Not only does it require all passengers to arrive at the gate on time, but also that they line up in their exact assigned order and be willing to split from their families as they board. While this level of passenger cooperation might seem far-fetched, it's not unprecedented. In the early 1970s, Southwest implemented a policy where planes would land, unload, board, and push back, all in under 10 minutes. As soon as the plane touched down, attendants began unloading bags into the aisles. By the time it reached the gate, new passengers were already lined up on the tarmac, boarding as others deplaned. People were still finding seats as the plane taxied toward the runway. Such a system wouldn't fly by today's aviation standards. There are also engineering options to explore. Loading a plane with 240 seats through 2 doors instead of 1 can potentially speed up boarding by 5 minutes. Another proposal, the side slip seat, offsets the middle seat, allowing the aisle seat to slide over it and temporarily widen the aisle, potentially reducing boarding times by up to 20%. However, while faster boarding times may save airlines on operational costs, it's unlikely they'd actually invest in these redesigns, since there's also value in keeping the process aggravating. Long lines mean passengers are more willing to pay for tickets that allow them to get on the plane first. It's frustrating, but before you cancel your tickets, it's worth noting that there really isn't much time to be saved. Even the most perfectly executed boarding strategy would likely only save us about 10 minutes. So perhaps the best solution is to take a breath, allow your fellow passengers some grace, and try to enjoy the ride. Ready to keep learning? Watch these videos to either challenge what you think you know or learn more about what you don't. Subscribe and stay curious.